What is up, W Sports Podcast? Jimothy Tubby, we are back again, and we're going to recap all of the college football playoff game semifinals that we just got through, and we're going to get you prepped for the national championship. This is a special episode, special day, because, yeah, that's right, baseball season starts in like 20 days. I cannot wait to have the Cardinals hat on already.
Yeah, baseball season is right around the corner. First day for pitchers and catchers to report is February 9th.
February 9th, yeah. It is, I mean, it's just, there's a 2 on that number of how many days, and that's incredible. So much fun. Believe it or not, I mean, we're already halfway through this month, which is beautiful. I literally had it myself. I was like, well, what if I was in Florida? What if, just for spring training, I'll go to another spring training game. It's so much fun. So,
Yeah.
Get a little bit of hope for every single team. Everybody has a chance to go undefeated when spring training starts. I'm just saying, everybody does in the regular season. So, but today, Tubby, we're going to start off with college football reactions. We had 2 games, 2 different days. And again, college football has got to be happy with the teams that were in it. And I think they'll be happy with the teams, honestly, that won. But we're going to start with the game, the Penn State versus Notre Dame. Notre Dame dominates this game. I'm going to say dominates. They dominate this game. I know the score wasn't explosive or anything like that, but when it all was said and done, I don't think there was any question. And it was 27-24. I'm going to say dominate. It felt like they were in control.
Yeah. I mean, when you don't complete a single pass to your wide receiver, any wide receiver in the team doesn't give you much chance unless your running back has like 300 or 400 yards rushing.
Yeah, and they did run the ball quite a bit, but I say dominate. They were literally down at 10-0 at one point, and then go on to lose 27-24. It just felt like once Riley Leonard was going to be able to come back in this game. For the record, Steve Angeli, is that right? Angeli, 6 for 7, 44 yards, was better than Drew Allard played. So I would have taken him. He was the second best quarterback in this game, but they still ran the ball, not extremely effective, but they ran the ball. And Notre Dame they were the better team on this day.
Yeah, it's the defense. That defense has shown up since that one loss. I mean, this defense is the difference maker. It keeps them in every single game. Even when their offense is not producing, they still have a shot. And we saw the defense was the key factor on that, in the fourth quarter. The pass by Drew Aller, which he says he was trying to dirt it at the wide receiver's feet. And I'm like, guy, you threw it 30 yards downfield to try to dirt it at your wide receiver's feet when you had a running back standing in your backfield?
Don't lie.
Yeah, you
don't lie.
You went for the pass, and it did not work out. And I knew as soon as he had the ball their last possession, besides the try to march down the field and whatever, I knew that he was going to make a mistake. It's just something that Drew Aller, I just don't trust him as a quarterback, especially in big games that late.
Yeah, I don't trust him. I think he's honestly partially a product of being at Penn State. Penn State is the culture of offensive. What they do is run the football, throw the ball tight end. It's not explosive. If they score 24 points in this game, they're hoping that that'll be enough. It's obviously not. Notre Dame is a very similar team. And if you look at everything on paper, if you didn't watch the game, but you just look at the box score, you're like, how did they lose outside of obviously Drew Aller? But if you run the ball for over 200 yards, 3 rushing touchdowns, it's crazy to see that you lose this game. And you only turn the ball over that one time that we're talking about, right?
Yeah.
It's just a really poor time to turn the ball over. But you're like, yeah, no. And even if it would have gone to overtime, it really felt like Notre Dame had just, I don't know, the poise or not really the momentum, but they had the poise to get it done.
Yeah, you expected them to be able to get it done because of Riley Leonard being the quarterback and then Drew Allard on the other side. You can trust the veteran quarterback. And one thing I will say about Drew Allard is that he hasn't played quarterback for very long. Coming out of high school, he was, I think it was maybe his senior or junior years when he finally started playing quarterback. He was playing tight end and wide receiver. And then they threw him in at quarterback, and then stock, blew up, and all that being said. So he's still, pretty raw at the quarterback position. So I can understand why some NFL teams are somewhat enamored with him with the strong arm and, the better mobility than you would think. But you still have to get the mindset right. It is the biggest problem.
Yeah, I don't know that I'm trusting him yet at the next level. I just don't know that I don't know how he's a less athletic Anthony Richardson. I just don't
Mm,
trust him to make the throw right now. Sure,
yeah,
you could develop it, but I hope that he doesn't go to the NFL. I don't think he is this year. I
no,
think he's definitely coming back, but like,
yeah,
don't go this raw. Like,
yeah.
I
I
I
know.
don't know that Anthony Richardson's stock would have ever been higher though.
No, and the thing is I know there's a lot of NFL teams were hoping he would change his mind after the game because there's a lot of NFL teams that had him as the top quarterback in this year's draft cycle,
Yeah, I
which
think
is
everybody wants him to be like Josh Allen.
that's what it is. Everyone looks
Yeah,
at him, and they go, "Oh, it's
I
Josh
don't
Allen. The
see.
potential is there." Just the size, the makeup, and what he can do. He's not as good of a runner as Josh Allen. We know that. He's got the strong arm, but that's about it when it comes to
Wasn't
the
there
comparison.
wasn't there another Josh that was kind of like that got drafted the same year?
Josh Rosen.
Yeah. Who's he closer to, Josh Rosen or Josh Allen? I mean, I
Oh,
just
Josh Rosen.
okay. That's what I
Not even
thought. That guy
close.
doesn't even play anymore.
No. Yeah.
So just random. Sorry, we're going on a tangent here. Um, uh, Before we get to the next game, I don't know if you watched the FCS championship, North Dakota State, Montana State.
Yeah.
North Dakota State still dominated. I have one gripe to pick with this coaching staff at Montana State.
Okay. What's that?
Did you watch the game?
Yes.
Okay, so the very last play, they're going to
Mm-hmm.
get the ball back with like maybe 2 seconds if they fair catch it or if something like that happens. But he sells out, goes to the block. He sends all 11 players to go block the kick, the punt.
Yeah.
There's zero chance that those guys gave 100% effort. That was the weakest block attempt I've ever seen, and you cannot do that if you're
Yeah.
not going to give everything and go slam into the kicker if you don't get it. Like, you
Mm-hmm.
have to do that because there's zero chance you're going to get the ball because they're going to let this thing roll until it hits 0-0, and that's exactly what happened.
Yeah.
Montana State
Yeah.
got outcoached in this game.
I don't understand why you didn't just at least have one guy back there to catch the
One
football.
guy.
Yeah, that's all you need. Yeah,
Give
I
me the
definitely
boom.
agree.
2 seconds.
I mean, it was a great game.
Yes.
It was probably one of the best
Second
playoff
half was
games
awesome.
we've seen. Yeah, but I mean, it just goes to show you that North Dakota State is. I mean,
Alabama.
yeah, the Alabama FCS. I mean,
Yeah, it's pretty.
10 in the last 14 years? I mean, come on
Yeah.
now.
Yeah. Can you name the other teams that have one besides them in that
South,
same span?
South Dakota State.
Yep.
And I'm trying to think of the other one. I don't know who the other
Pretty
one
sure
is.
James Madison.
Okay, I didn't know if James
It did
Madison
in
was.
16.
Yeah.
And there's one, I can't remember the third one. I think there's 3 teams that have done it.
The Montana State?
Maybe they
No,
did.
no, Montana.
Montana. Okay,
I think
there
it's
it is.
Montana. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, now that's the SEC. That conference, that area, that's the SEC.
Yeah.
So, all right, let's get to the Ohio State, Texas. What a gross game to have to watch as an OU fan. Just there's no winning here, but there is winning
Yeah.
if Texas loses.
Yeah.
And that's what happened. It was 14-14. It was a really low scoring, a very high defensive game. If you like that, I'm sure you loved it, especially the way it ended with Texas having a fumble, a strip sack fumble, scored for a touchdown that ultimately put the game out of reach for Texas. But Tubby, what are your thoughts on this game?
I mean, it kind of went. I thought it was going to be a little bit more high scoring, but it really showed that Texas wasn't as good as everyone thought they were. Just based on, I mean, we've tried to talk about it, but we come off as homers because we're OU fans. But
Right.
The schedule that they played, they didn't play anyone except for
soft.
Yeah, they played 3 teams in the regular season, and then one in the SEC championship game with winning records. They went 1-2 in those games.
Mm-hmm.
Their defense, the numbers were so inflated because of the teams they played. They were never really tested throughout the season, and I think it really showed. I mean, not saying Ohio State went out there and just obliterated them, but it's kind of the same thing with the Notre Dame Penn State game, where I felt like Ohio State had control of the game pretty much the whole time, and I think it kind of points to the same thing. Is that as crazy as it sounds, I trusted Will Howard more than I trusted Quinn Ewers.
I think that's accurate. I don't think that they're that far separated.
Mm-hmm.
I think even at the next level, I don't think they're that far separated right now from what you can
Yeah.
see. I think ultimately Ohio State had more playmakers, and that's what happened. Now, I'm not going to say Will Howard. His numbers were a little bit inflated from the 75-yard screen pass that was taken the whole way. by Trayvon Henderson. But I think that is the key. Like Henderson had the 75-yard, score like that after Texas finally got on the board and tied it.
Yeah.
And it didn't feel like Texas had those playmakers this year compared to the skill positions that they had last year.
Mm-hmm.
And they're loaded, everyone says, and next year they'll be back, they'll be fine. But there has been a little bit of smoke with Steve Sarkisian maybe going to the next level.
Yeah.
Quinn Ewer is probably going to have to transfer, right? I don't know. Do we know where he's going yet?
He says he's still going to the draft, but then there's
Bro,
also been smoke that some Big Ten team has offered him upwards to close to $6 million to transfer. I don't know how accurate those numbers are. Ohio State would be my guess, going back to Ohio State, because they're going to need a quarterback with Will Howard leaving. So I would think that they would be one of those teams that would potentially offer him, but I think $6 million is insane for a mediocre quarterback.
Yeah.
So I can see Ohio State doing it.
That's the key, though. I think Texas, assuming Steve stays in head coaches there, is the head coach there still.
Mm-hmm.
And they get Arch Manning. I still think Arch Manning. I think he's going to be much better.
Mm-hmm.
He's the thing. He's the scariest piece of this team right now.
The thing with that is, if Sark does leave, it puts him in a weird position, because we know Arch came out and said Sark is the reason he went to Texas. So what happens, say Sarkisian leaves and they bring in a coach that he's just like, then does
I think he still
Arch
stays.
Potentially jump in? I don't know.
He'd give it a year. He's that guy, but his family, like the way they do things, is not like everybody else where he says, I'm out. And you would know in the spring, of course, like in the transfer portal window, but I think you'd at least give it 1 year.
But what if Ole Miss comes to calling?
Oh, man.
What if Lane Kiffin and the money comes to calling? Because Ole Miss.
That's a good point. That's the one team that I think if you said that, like, oof, man, that might be tough. It might be tough.
That's what it sounded like. It essentially came down to, was Ole Miss and
just the family stuff
Texas.
There.
Yeah, exactly. And that's where I'm like, if he does, and maybe he tests the water for a second in his portal, and Ole Miss goes, hey, man, you come here, start the court, day one here. Here's the money. Let's go. I could definitely see. I'm not saying he's playing for the money, but I think that the situation would lead itself more for him to go there than it would to stay at Texas, with the potential backlash that could happen in Texas if Sarkisian does leave.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you this. And this is a little bit again, we'll have a predictive episode for the championship game later this week with the NFL playoffs round 2. But more important for the championship game for Ohio State, is it either Will Howard, who you've already just mentioned a little bit in the game, or why is my mind blanking? Jack Sawyer. Is it him or Will Howard? Who's more important to the success of this team in the next round?
It's definitely going to be the defense.
Yeah.
The defense is, honestly, it was what's gotten them there too. It's kind of the same thing with, maybe outside the Oregon game where Jeremiah Smith, you just kind of absolutely went bonkers. I think that they lean on that veteran defense that they have. They've got, I think they have one guy starting that's only started 1 or 2 years there. The rest have all been 4 or 5 year guys.
Yeah, that's fair enough. I was just, I think a lot of people are going to give a lot of credit to Will Howard, as he should. He's done a good job there, but he's not the game changer that I think the defense, like you're saying, could be. So
outside of Jeremiah Smith on the offensive side, the guy that they're going to lean on the most is going to be Trayvon Henderson, which probably at the beginning of the year most people would have said Quinshon Judkins, but Trayvon Henderson has been the hot back the last 4 or 5 games for them. He has been the catalyst for that offense, and so that's going to be the guy that they're going to have to get going, because I imagine Notre Dame's going to do a lot of what Texas did, and they're going to bracket Jeremiah Smith and make the other guys, which Emeka Egbuka is no slouch.
Yeah,
Emeka Egbuka is a first round wide receiver in the draft this year, so not saying that you leave them without any options, but if you can take him out of the game, there goes a lot of the explosiveness on that offense. And so then they're going to have to lean on the guy that had the 75-yard touchdown.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, 75-yard touchdowns. Okay, yeah, we can do it. So, all right, well, let's move on to some MLB news. Again, we teased it at the beginning of the episode. So, looking at some of the big free agent names that are still out there that haven't been signed, we can touch on some of these real quick,
Mhm.
and we'll get more into it again as we just break into the baseball world as the season starts. But obviously Alex Bregman, Pete Alonso. These are some of the really big names that haven't signed. We still technically have Max Scherzer. I don't know if you
Yeah.
still would throw him out there. Jack Flaherty, Dodger,
Mhm.
still hasn't signed. Big star. Why is my mind blanking? Who just
Sasaki.
Sasaki just narrowed down to the Dodgers, Padres, and Jays. Big surprise. Those are the teams he chose.
Mhm.
Any of these big signings that you think? Do you think that all of these people will have homes before pitchers and catchers report?
I don't know if I would say all. I mean, Sasaki, he will have to, or he'll be going back to Japan because his time will be up. But they said they expect him to pick by the 23rd, I think. So it sounds like it's going to come any day now. But I don't know about Bregman. I think Bregman, with the Scott Boras stuff, I think it is a little odd. And same thing with Pete Alonso. We saw this last year with Scott Boras' clients. Waited too long, had to take 1-2 year deal with some opt out clauses, and it sounds like
Hate it.
it's probably going to be the same thing again this year.
Yeah, absolutely hate it. Is
Yeah.
there a signing that I mean, obviously Juan Soto. We'll get more into that here
Mm-hmm.
as we get into the breakdown of the seasons. But is there maybe a sneaky signing that you've or a trade that's happened that you're like, I really like this piece. I think it's going to go a long way to one of these teams.
I'm going to go with the former Dodger to the Red Sox. I like what I saw from Walker Buehler at the end of the year.
Mm-hmm.
He was showing more of the Walker Buehler that we had seen in early on in his career, where he was dominating the strike zone, getting swings and misses, striking out guys, wasn't giving up the home runs, wasn't walking a whole lot of guys. He looked like he was more in command than he had been at any point since the recent Tommy John injury. And getting him for a 1-year deal, a prove it deal where they need pitching, especially veteran pitching, I think is a great spot for him, because I think this is a sneaky team next year, especially if they can find another starting, quality rotation guy. Maybe sounding like maybe Luis Castillo is still on the table for him. This is a dangerous team because that offense is very underrated.
Yeah. The one that I hate to say, but I do like the move because they haven't found the guy really since Gurriel left. Astros getting Christian Walker, I think, is a really sneaky signing
Mm,
to help
yeah.
them. He's another guy that could hit 30 home runs again this year, but he's going to be improved by
Mm-hmm.
having Jordan Alvarez batting right next to him, I think.
Yeah.
And the other one, I still like the Goldschmidt. I have a fear as a Cardinals fan that he's going to go out there and he's going to look like Matt Holliday that year he played with the Yankees and did pretty
Yankees.
well. So,
Yeah.
um, yeah, I do like that one. I know I asked you for Walker Bueller is such a good
Yeah.
piece, right? I really like that one, and possibly Gleyber Torres going to Detroit. I like that one.
Yeah. Yeah. I think another one, we've talked about this one before, but the trade, I think, for the Yankees getting Devin Williams was a massive piece for a guy at the back end of the bullpen who's been one of the best closers in baseball when he's healthy.
Yeah.
I think is huge because we saw the inefficiencies they had in the bullpen, especially in the postseason and throughout the regular season.
Yeah. The Verlander, anything left in the tank? He says he wants to pitch till he's 45. Sign
I
with the
mean,
Giants.
I think it was kind of throw a dart at the dartboard and hope it sticks.
Yeah.
I don't know how much more he has left in him. I don't like that he signed with the Giants as a Dodgers fan, because I've seen Justin Verlander, defeat the odds.
Yeah.
Come back from multiple Tommy John surgeries and still be out there throwing, Cy Young worthy stuff. So I don't like that. But also, I mean, I still think maybe the tank's, getting pretty close to empty.
Yeah. How in the world did you not give us hey, I really like the signing of Teoscar Hernandez going back to your Dodgers. It's just the rich get richer. Oh my gosh.
I didn't want to rub it in.
Yeah, thank you. We actually appreciate that. That means a lot. Yeah. Meanwhile, the Kansas City Royals did re-sign Michael Lorenzen, which is I really like that signing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I don't like the fact that they're predicting that they're going to have Chris Bubich back in the starting rotation. He's not a good starter. He's a good middle of the relief order. But okay, whatever.
Yeah.
That's a little too in the details maybe for the baseball world. But
yeah.
Can you give us a prediction maybe of where Pete Alonso ends up?
Pete Alonso. I'm going to say he ends back up with the Mets. I think it's going to be on a short-term deal with an opt-out clause after maybe the first year, and then maybe test free agency, fire Scott Boras, and hope that he
hope
gets
so.
more money next year.
Yeah, I would predict. Yeah, same thing. Maybe a 4 year with a 2 year opt out, and then
Mm-hmm.
yeah, we'll see that. I think that kind of helps everyone stay in a good spot, and it's probably front loaded too.
Yeah,
Possibly. We'll see.
yeah,
Yeah. Anyway, I mean that's there's just a taste of baseball as we get so
yeah.
much closer. I cannot wait. Despite the fact that the Cardinals are going to be mediocre at best, but I do think watch out for Jordan Walker this year, most improved player. Calling it right now.
Hey, just let him play.
Let him play. Yes, thank you.
Just let
So,
him play.
I mean, that's all I got for this episode. Tubby, you got anything else?
I might actually have one more hint
Okay. All
for the
right. Yeah,
giveaway for
that's
January.
right. So yeah, take it away.
So far he is a Hall of Fame linebacker. He's a Super Bowl winning linebacker, and this one's going to be like a twofold, hint. He's a 9-time All-Pro and led the NFL in tackles 3 times.
Okay. Oh, okay. All right. I have it. I think I know who it is. I'm gonna bring it offline here in a second. But man, so
All right.
again, you can put your guesses in the chat, and if you get it right, along with being subscribed to the show here on YouTube, you can actually get entered into win and extra entries by guessing it right into our January giveaway, which is a signed jersey. Correct? This is a jersey.
Yes.
All right. Okay.
Signed
Cool.
jersey.
So make sure you do that. Make sure you don't miss it. And yeah, till then, see y'all next time.
See ya.
See ya.